Welcome back to Maximum News, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my god, it's finally happening. I can now go and apologize to that guy down the street whose tires I slashed. No, I'm joking. That's an ongoing joke on the show. But guys, Konami just made it official. Silent Hill is finally announcing a comeback. It was made official on Twitter via the official Silent Hill account and Konami's official account that on Wednesday, October the 19th at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, they're going to be doing what I think is called the transmission of all the new stuff that they have planned for Silent Hill. Now, before all the naysayers say, oh, well, how do we know it's not a pachinko machine? How do we know it's like all the rumors about the games that we've heard coming out? Don't worry. There is an ESRB rating on the main website for Konami Silent Hill, which means that they are, in fact, going to be showing us games. They'll probably show us some merchandise because, that's where they've been making a lot of their money off of the IP for the last few years. But no doubt, they're probably going to drop the playable teaser that we've been hearing about, the one that got rated in South Korea the other week. What is it called? Silent Hill, the short message. I'm hoping they're going to show the blooper stuff as well. And hopefully, if the rumors are true, there's going to be a confirmation of something going on at Sony where they're working on something internally. Or if Christoph Gans, the director of the Silent Hill movie, was right when we talked about them the other day, it's going to be a new game from Team Silent within Konami. We'll see. Oh my god, I'm so happy. Anybody who knows me knows how much this series means to me, how much it contributed to the success of my channel on YouTube. It's right up there with Metal Gear Solid for me. There are reasons to be pessimistic, and we will talk about that in a second, and I think Syb is going to lay those out. But right now, just let me bask in the joy that this series is officially back. Just for the moment, just let me enjoy the lie, and then who knows, maybe it'll actually turn out to be great. But Syb, I literally just told this to you like a few minutes before we started recording. You got back. I screamed in your ear. I'm sorry about that. What's your initial reaction to this?
I mean, I'm going to cross my fingers and hope that we get an actually good product from them. Konami still is on my, like, they're in the bottom list of my development studios that I actually respect, and that includes any projects that they're overseeing and side stuff. Obviously, there's a lot of bad blood there between Kojima and Konami, between what Konami has been doing to make money for the last 8 years now.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous and it's extraordinarily unhealthy. And I think that I've made this argument a lot. Art that people create is not necessarily indicative of them as a person. You want to be able to separate art from
the people creating
the thing that the creator and their failures as a person, because everybody has failures, some more than others, obviously, and there's some artists that we don't praise at all. Because of their, very backward stances. But we can look at historical backwards things that we see today, and we can be a little bit like, not necessarily throw everything onto the fire, because sometimes they just didn't know better, right? They had no ability to know better. So for some of those cases, you can nod and smile at that kind of stuff a little bit more than you can for something that's more fresh. This obviously is very fresh. It's not that they committed some super heinous crime, of that left, families ruined and whatnot. They caused a lot of problems. They attacked a lot of their own developers who made their own great games, who made people on that board very rich, and then they chose to do dumb things with that. So I think overall we can look at this, we say, I hope it's good product, because the story deserves it. The art deserves a better, more current day storytelling that is both accurate and wonderful to the series as a whole, and just helps to make the content and the fans happy and fulfilled. And I think that's the most important thing that we can hope for here. So fingers crossed.
Yeah.
That's what we get. We don't get some piece of garbage that we go, it would have been better if this just wasn't touched. And that's what I hope. And I've been super pessimistic lately. I'm trying to get over it. But yeah, that is the current state of gaming, and some of the other stories that we got to touch today are going to reinforce that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, so let's see what happens.
Yes, we just have a few more days to wait. I just want to respond to what you said. I actually completely agree with you, Saib. Despite my happiness that this IP is making some sort of comeback, I am not completely losing sight of the fact that, yes, it is Konami, in my opinion, the third most evil gaming company out there, just behind EA and Activision Blizzard. We have to, let their actions speak for themselves. Hopefully that what they announce on Wednesday will start to roll back that bad reputation. I'm not holding out hope, but I will say this. Even though there are plenty of reasons to be pessimistic, yes, we know that apparently Bloober, they're working on, the rumors are working on a Silent Hill 2 remake. A lot of people don't like Bloober. I don't like a lot of Bloober Team's games. That's one of them. But I will say this. I think the fact that there are multiple games that are in development and they're being made by separate studios, I think that with multiple games, that means that there's a greater chance that at least one of them is going to be decent. And it's sad to say, but at this point, I'll accept the decent Silent Hill game than nothing at all. I'm being slightly facetious when I say that. Obviously, I want them all to be good, but I'm just going to remain happy about this, and we'll discuss this more closer to Wednesday. But what do you think, guys? Are you maintaining some positive sentiments? Is it sort of clashing up against some negative sentiments? Let us know in the comment section below. I cannot wait to talk about this franchise as an active franchise moving forward and not a dead franchise. All right. With the semi-good news out of the way, let's move on to what was easily going to be the most important story of the day until that happened, and it's my show. Saib, the internet blew up yesterday, particularly Twitter, when the voice actress for Bayonetta posted a series of 3 videos. Well, I should say the former voice actress for Bayonetta. See, there was a woman named Helena Taylor who voiced Bayonetta in the first 2 games until she was replaced by Jennifer Hale for Bayonetta 3. And, Jennifer Hale's a classic voice actress. She's been in everything.
I have met her. She actually heralds from my part of the world.
She's Canadian?
Oh, not only is she Canadian, we grew up not too far away from each other. So yeah, great person.
Yeah.
Just generally, always appreciate her stuff. Of course, the Mass Effect series, the soldier role in the or trooper role, not soldier, trooper role in the Star Wars MMO, whole bunch of stuff,
whole bunch of anime.
Yeah, she was one of her first gigs when she was much younger, was the Carmen Sandiego cartoon, and she played Ivy. So I know her. I've been tracking her role for years. I met her at an event for a local news station when I was still young, and she was still fairly young herself. It's pretty cool. She's a cool person who I respect greatly.
Right.
That said, there's a lot of nuance to this situation.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just going to go out on a limb and believe Helena Taylor from the get-go.
Right.
Why? Well, we'll get into that.
Yeah. So, just very quickly to Jennifer Hale. I know her. She's been in everything. You've probably heard her at some point in your life if you're a geek. For me, she'll always be Naomi Hunter from Metal Gear Solid. So when that was announced, obviously a lot of people were upset. But, it's Jennifer Hale. So if you're going to get somebody to replace somebody who did as iconic a job as Helena Taylor did for Bayonetta, Jennifer Hale is a pretty good substitute. I think the only one that was close to that was probably Kiefer Sutherland when he replaced David Hayter as Solid Snake, or Big Boss, Naked Snake, all those snakes. It wasn't the same, but, Kiefer's a good actor, and he did a cool version of it. But back on topic. We didn't know why Helena got replaced by Jennifer Hale when this happened. until yesterday. And we're recording this on Sunday, October the 16th. She took to Twitter and told the world something very, very shocking. She said that the reason why she wasn't voicing Bayonetta wasn't because she didn't want to. It wasn't because she failed an audition or something. It was because she was paid a measly amount. And how measly? Well, she says she was offered $4,000 by the game's executive director, that being Hideki Kamiya. She talks about how little money she's been making after that, leaving her extremely depressed. And, the lack of money that she's been making for her work has made her face a very likely possibility of homelessness, which led to thoughts of, well, I can't say the word without risk of demonetization, but let's just say self-termination, or as I like to refer to it, Sudoku. Several people came out and backed her claims. According to Brian Deckard, the guy who voiced Connor from Detroit Become Human, Jonah Scott, who voiced Aiden from Dying Light 2, as well as Katakuri from One Piece, and even the aforementioned David Hayter. They all said, yep, this is common practice, unfortunately, for a lot of voice actors. And the reason why we haven't heard about it is because a lot of the times these voice actors have to sign non-disclosure agreements to not talk about the financial dealings. Well, Helena Taylor said the reason why she's talking about this despite the non-disclosure agreement is because, well, she figures she doesn't really have anything. And what's Platinum Games going to do to sue her? Take the clothes off her back? That's literally the words that she said. There are a couple of other aspects of the story that I want to get to in a moment, but I want to throw this over to Syb. Syb, I want two things from you. One, obviously, is your reaction. And two, can you explain to people why $4,000 for portraying Bayonetta is a pathetic compensation?
Mm-hmm. It's sadly all too common.
Yeah.
I can, a lot of voice actors, a lot of people have come out and have stated this quite clearly. A lot of people have can verify this just as a general sense. Voice work is a wonderful thing that really impacts a lot of people who watch and consume content that it utilizes. But those actors are seldomly recognized in the quality and professionalism that they do. You've got people who did some of the voice work for Fallout 4, for the last Red Dead Redemption, who spent a year or more of their life recording lines every day for over a year.
Yep.
Just to give us a high quality performance that in some games really just reaches down and touches you in a deep emotional way that most other performances don't necessarily do.
Yeah.
And it's because audio is so important to so many people, and it's so good when it's done right.
Yeah.
It's really terrible when it's done wrong, but it's really good when it's done right. And that doesn't just come out of nowhere. It doesn't just appear out of nowhere.
It's
it doesn't
talent.
just it's actual real talent that is required to make things happen. And I can tell you, because I worked as a voice actor, I know a lot of voice actors. We have one introduces our show every week when we do the augmented reality showcase. There is a lot of people who have put blood, sweat, and tears into this who are paid next to nothing. And in some cases, for some performances, have been paid nothing. And for some performances that literally steal the show and become one of the most important aspects to that thing, looking at some anime, some cartoons, some video games here, those people are promised a paycheck, never given a paycheck. And even when that company makes, in this particular case, $500 million off of this work, it's insulting to see this happen. I want to call out Bayonetta here, especially, and Platinum Games. And as far as I'm concerned, but Platinum Games can go blank itself.
Yep.
Because so listen, dude. I'm talking to Hideki
Kamiya.
I'm butchering his name.
Hideki Kamiya. Yep.
Hideki Kamiya.
F face. Yeah. Sorry.
Your game, the first one, didn't take off. It was received fairly well when it first came out, but it wasn't until that English version came out that people really clicked into the game. And not people in the West, people in your own country really clicked with this. Why? Because a lot of Japanese video gamers, men, stuff like that, really enjoy a strong English woman's voice. And when I say English, I don't mean English American, I mean like British.
Huh.
Like high value British posh voice. That not only made the game catch on fire, but it made the sales of the Western version jump like crazy in Japan.
That's crazy. I never knew that.
Yeah, the game was not received well in its initial debut. It was like, because you got to remember, it has two debuts. It has the Western debut when people get their hands on it out here, but a lot of those games are shipped a little bit earlier, and the early reviews were pretty low. That wasn't until they heard this beautiful British voice just saying things, and that sold the character. And they have paid her peanuts for that. For a product that has made $500 million, you think they could at least offer something that is a comparative range. Now, is a comparative range for, what's a comparative range for an actor who records 10 hours of dialogue that gets clipped down to about an hour and a half of straight lines? What's that pay? Is $4,000 pretty good for that pay? It is for some. Yes, that's true. But you're not going to get anybody who's worth their salt doing a product like that, period. It's an insulting amount. And this is the same reason why not Platinum directly, but Nintendo chose to not include the voice actors for several of its characters in Smash for the English cast, because they wanted to just have the Japanese cast, and they just wanted to pay that once. And as people have seen, Mooney, my significant other, is not from the West, originally hailing from the Hong Kong area, and her reasoning is quite simple, and I tend to agree with this. It's racism. There are some, not all, some developers in Japan who despise the West as a whole, and the West to them is everybody else that's not immediately from their country. That's what they view the West as. They view everything west of them, and from Japan, that's literally everything, going that direction all the way until you swing back around to like Hawaii. That's all basically the West, and they don't care about those people. They don't like those people. It's why there's a lot of games that do very well in Japan, but then are not sold to the West, period. And this guy has been doing this for a long time, and one of the reasons why his Twitter is currently down, this is
Hideki Kamiya.
Rumors. Yeah. Hideki basically went on a spree blocking people, and you can track it. The dude manually started blocking people. It was like a day and a half ago when the story initially broke. He spent like 12 hours blocking people straight. Dude, you got a problem when you're blocking people who have next to no followers. They're just people commenting on a thing. And you're going through, you're not going through responses to your tweet. You're looking up other tweets and other tweet threads. And you're going through that thread and you're blocking people one at a time. Not only are you blocking people one at a time, there's this thing where if you block the initial comment, sometimes you don't see the following replies to them. He starts with the newest replies and he works backwards. Dude has a problem with people, apparently. And one of the things that people are starting to kind of point out, because at first it looked like Twitter's automated system basically went, oh wow, this account is blocking people nonstop. It must have been hacked or is experiencing some kind of problem. We'll just lock the account down until they, can verify that they're actually the ones doing this. There was a post that he made. There's a screen cap of it where he refers to, it seems that he's indicating and referring to the West as insects. And says, that he's tired of having to deal with insects. I mean, again, wifey looks at that this morning and goes, "Oh yeah. I know lots of Asians like him, and that's just pure racism from that part of the world in which she's very familiar with."
Yeah, see, I seem to recall Mr. Kamiya, who directed Resident Evil 2, Devil May Cry, and Bayonetta, how well those games actually performed in the West that you hate so much.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, I know a lot of Japanese game developers, and there's a lot of conversations I've had with them where we've talked about this, hatred of the West, and some of it has very valid reasons. Some of them had family that were bombed or killed, or great, grandparents and parents of grandparents and cousins and stuff like that in that distant past. And that's terrible. Absolutely. That's terrible. War is always terrible. And the horrors that you see in war are they're horrors. They're terrible. But to hold on to the hatred and target people who weren't even involved in that, because they just lump entire continents together. And it's again, talking about this with Mooney. She was thinking about coming on the show to chit chat about this, but it's something that kind of disgusts her. She's pointed out, number of times before on the podcast here. And I have to agree with this. Having talked with a lot of game developers over the years in Japan, a lot of them say that there's a lot of people that show up in their office and they grumble and complain when they have to do the Western content. And again, this is not all of them. This isn't even a large portion. This is not even like 5%. This is like 2 to 1% of those game developers. But they hate this. And this is like, you don't look at an artist who's done this for your company, who's made this thing super successful, and you offer to pay her $4,000 US. That's pathetic. That's not just pathetic. That's an insult, and it's a degrading insult. And they say, "Oh well, these voice actresses and voice actors, they're not obliged. They're not. They agree to some pay." It's like, yeah, that's the same argument that Nike uses when they're paying their workers 25 cents an hour or a day to make shoes. And to that I say, simply grow up, because that's disgusting. Capitalism isn't based on that. That's slavery, and that's not a part of capitalism.
It's corporatism.
If you want an actual quote from an actual capitalist who changed the world, I believe it's Henry Ford, who said that capitalism is a company making a product, the best product that they can make, paying the highest wages that they can make, they can pay their workers, using the best materials that they can make, selling it for the lowest price point.
Exactly.
That's what that is. Whatever you're thinking of, that's crony bull, BS that isn't helpful to anybody. And paying somebody what equivalates to, slave labor wages is ridiculous. And you're saying, "Oh, well, that's not that many hours." It's like, no, it is. It's a lot of hours. And again, for her education and for her stuff. Now, she's got a problem that she needs to, I don't believe that she's part of a union. That would help. And I think that would help in a lot of these cases. A lot of the voice actors and voice actresses I know have joined a union, and unions, they come with their own problem, but most of the time they're fairly helpful.
Sure.
She needs to do that. She needs to really sell herself a lot better. There is some things that she's not doing, but taking a paycheck that's pathetically low is part of the problem. And yeah, it hurts her. And I agree, because yeah, there's a lot of big companies that puff themselves up and talk about how wonderful they are, how great they are. And then you look into their weeds and you look into the things and you find that they're using free labor from interns. Like not just like interns, like, training interns, they're using like college level interns, which I think that's horse doo doo. There's no excuse you can give me for not paying interns like at least like food.
Yeah.
Like same with actors and actresses. A lot of them are paid. They're told, oh well, come work for free, you get exposure. It's like, and again, they take that, but at the very least, if you're making millions and millions and millions of dollars off these people, the very least you could do is go back and pay them. Like it didn't cost them $250 million to make the Bayonetta series. It cost them a lot less than that, a fraction of that cost. The least they could have done is hand out some bonuses to some of their people who actually had a positive primary impact on this, and that includes developers and voice actors and actresses. So this is a situation that I'm pretty close to in this scenario, and I'm pretty disgusted with. And I'm disgusted because there's so many people who are coming out and going, oh, she doesn't deserve that. She agrees to, get work. It's like, hey, we all agree to get paid per hour. But again, when you're taking somebody's work and equivalently paying them, again, pennies on the dollar of what you make, it's like, that's pretty gross.
Yeah.
It's really upsetting to me.
Yeah, and that whole thing about why like the Japanese don't want to work with people in the West. I mean, it seems like there's some weird degree of truth to that, which is strange because like the way that, aside from all the Twitter stuff, I did a little bit of research on Hideki Kamiya, and people have spoken like his praises as like this really soft-spoken, nice guy. But then also in that video that Helena Taylor put out, she talked about writing a letter to Hideki and him responding and like, oh, it was a pivotal moment in my life when I first met you to do the English voice for Bayonetta. And then he does all this crap. It's like, where's the real guy? And like, what's the difference between the persona that he puts out and the true person? And I wonder if it is related to some of that stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
so the final short thing I want to add here is, is a lot of people are going, oh, we need more information. We need more information.
Sure.
The information is that she came out and said that, she was offered this much and that she turned it down because they didn't pay. They put out a press release before she did this that said that there was scheduling conflicts and that they couldn't get her because of scheduling conflicts. And that's why they went with Jennifer Hale.
Yeah, whenever they say scheduling conflicts, any company, that's BS. That's usually that's
called corporate speak lying. And if you believe that over, an actor or somebody coming out and stating something like this, please check your head, because again, it's like this is corporate normal jargon speak, and it's a lie, and it's rude of them to do that when they know that the real reason is that they were paying pennies. And yeah, they did pay more for Jennifer Hale. Sure they did. But Jennifer Hale's also with a union. They were up against a clock, and the union's going to say, hey, if you don't hire somebody at this, wage, we're going to announce this we're going to talk about this, and you're going to look a fool. That's what the union weight does.
Yeah.
And that's why I think Helena Taylor should have probably
added that element
herself into a union for this kind of stuff. She's got the experience to buffer it out. And again, I know some people hate unions, and that's, I mean, again,
there are reasons too, but yeah.
So
yeah,
it's a rough situation. My immediate belief is to believe Helena on this. Why? Because I've seen it firsthand for a very long time on both the voice actor front. Again, we speak with a lot of voice actors. We've interviewed them. We've talked with them on the show, on the podcast, on the main channel. It's a problem, and it's rough, and it needs to be, it needs to be addressed.
One last thing before we move on from this. Most importantly, guys, leave Jennifer Hale alone. She doesn't seem to know.
Yeah, it's not her fault on this at all.
Yeah. She was offered the job. She took it. And from like, don't take this to the bank, but just from the stuff that I've seen, it seemed like she didn't even know what the heck was going on with Helena Taylor. And, she's not speaking out about it because, well, she had to sign an NDA. And frankly, she's in a position where, like, she would probably lose a great deal if she were to break that. Unlike Helena, who unfortunately is in the position that she's in where she felt like she had nothing else to do but tell people what the heck was going on. So, yeah, just leave her alone. We'll see what comes out of this. Let's move on to the next story. Oh, God. Splinter Cell. Stealth game that we haven't seen enough of in the last little while. We did hear that a remake was in the works. I think that was announced last year, which I was very happy about. Stealth games are some of my favorites. Obviously, Metal Gear Solid is my lifeblood, but that's obviously not coming anytime soon, except maybe through some sort of remaster, allegedly. So I was waiting and anticipating what they were going to do with the remake. Unfortunately, it's looking like that's going to take even longer to get to us because the guy who is directing the Splinter Cell remake, David Grivell, has left both the game and Ubisoft. He announced this on social media. He worked there for 10 years. He worked on the following games: Crysis 2, Ghost Recon Future Soldier, Splinter Cell Blacklist, AC Unity. Oh, sorry, that's Assassin's Creed Unity, the worst one, oddly enough. Far Cry Primal, Far Cry 5, and Far Cry 6. Now, speaking of PRBS, he did leave a heartfelt farewell on social media to both his team and Ubisoft, but who knows? That could be genuine. It might not be. We don't know. It's just unfortunate news, especially with a lot of the stuff that Ubisoft has been dealing with. So I don't think, like, we have talked about the Splinter Cell franchise on this show, but I don't think I ever asked you if you were a fan or if you played any of those, like the original trilogy, Pandora Tomorrow, Chaos Theory. Were you excited for this, and what's your reaction to this news?
It's too bad. I think Splinter Cell just generally has like really nailed what it was going for. It's a good series overall. I find some of it kind of funny, but yeah, I think it's a little sad that we're seeing him go. I hope that he's going to a new studio to do even cooler things, and that sometimes you do need to shake things up a little bit. So I don't look down on this as an entirely bad, terrible thing. I do hope that they have. I hope that somebody who's been working there for maybe just as long as he has manages to get a promotion up, because I think that's a good thing, and I hope he does well at his new studio. So yeah. As far as the remake and the losing, let's hope it's not because of bad reasons. Let's go. Yeah. Let's cross our fingers and hope that's not bad reasons. That it's just things just weren't working out, or somebody needed to spread their wings a little bit more, and that happens a lot in remakes and in older studios, especially when somebody comes in a board of directors and goes, hey, this thing you've been doing here, well, we want to make more money off of this, so we want you to add a bunch of things to make us more money. Well, actually, I think I have a new way of approaching this that's going to make the art really, hey, we care about your art. We told you to make us more money. Go make us more money. That kind of thing. I hope it's not that.
Yeah.
And that unfortunately happens a lot in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's just hope it's not going the way of Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time remake, which was supposed to come out back in January 2021. And they released a trailer before that, and where is it now? We haven't heard a single goddamn thing. And I'm actually looking forward to that even more because, no joke, the original Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time is in my top 5 games of all time. So, yeah, I hope it's just not like Ubisoft re-examining their priorities and then they're just going to put all their money behind Assassin's Creed and whatever the hell. Moving on to something else. You said there was, you shared a video about Starfield, Syb. Yeah, like you said, there was big-ish news. I didn't get the chance to watch it though, unfortunately. What's going on?
Yeah, so Todd Howard did an interview. They posted it out on on YouTube, and it's got some really cool stuff in it. This is definitely going to be a hard-ish or real-ish sci-fi game. One of the things that they had, because I don't know if you know this, this was on Rick and Morty recently, but did you know that space is trying to kill you all the time? Like all the time. Just everything in space is constantly trying to kill you.
What else aside from asteroids?
Well, aside from asteroids, is the thing called the void. There's no air out in space.
Right.
There's temperatures that will fluctuate from like plus 300 degrees to negative 200 degrees in a fraction of a second, or just depending on which way that your body's facing. That kind of stuff. I mean, space is a very dangerous place, and fuel. I don't know if you know this, but if you run out of fuel on terra firma, you walk over, maybe you call somebody, you get fuel delivered. If you run out of fuel in space, you just freeze to death very quickly. Yeah, so that kind of stuff. Turns out they actually had that in the game, and if you overshot your fuel, you actually you actually are
turned into a bunch of ice cubes.
Yeah, you actually froze to death, and the game just stopped, and you had to load back. So now they've fixed that to make it a little bit less, less pain in the buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Now just your fuel amount just limits how far you can travel, and then you can upgrade that over time. But they definitely had it, and they said they left a lot of that stuff in the game files so that hardcore players and modders could find it, access it, mod it, turn it on, and there's a realistic, because some people love realism, and I got to tell you, I've told this story 100 times on the main channel, but I absolutely love hardcore Skyrim. It was one of my most like I turn on every hard mode thing you could possibly think of, and one of the things was like punishment for crimes. It's like if you murder somebody, it's like you're not going to get away with paying some money unless you got considerable political power behind you. But playing a new game and running around in the woods, it's like you don't know. Like, is that dude over there who's working and he's chopping wood? Is he a friend or is he a foe? Is he somebody who's is he going to pull out his axe and kill you? Because that's literally what would happen. Especially playing the way I play. It's like somebody hits you in the head with an axe, you're just dead. Like there's no coming back from that. Death is really hard to heal. So yeah, there's that kind of stuff, and I love this kind of mode of play. So this would be cool. I do kind of like the idea of having like space stuff. Firefly was one of my favorite shows. I know it's a meme, but it seriously was one of my favorite shows. One of the favorite episodes in that is where they basically are lost out in space. They run out of juice. There's a damaged ship component that makes it so that they can't start up the reactor basically, and they're slowly dying in a spaceship that's just an icy coffin at this point. And that kind of stuff that's very gruesome. It's very much like the new-ish space series. Oh darn, what's it called? James Holden. What's he?
James Holden.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
That's the main character in the show. Anyways, for some reason I'm spacing on it, but it's one of my favorites.
That was a pun, dude. You should feel bad about yourself. You're spacing on it.
Yeah. Oh yes. Oh. Yeah. And at any rate, this is really cool that he talked about this. How this was kind of a big thing. They talked about how the game currently has over 25,000 lines of dialogue compared to Fallout. Skyrim only had 60,000. Fallout 4 had 110,000, so they've more than doubled that.
So you said 25,000. It's actually 250.
Sorry. Yes, brain is spacing on me. Jeez, 250,000 versus 110,000 in Fallout 4 and 60,000 in Skyrim.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And that's considering you have to remember that this is a game that there's a silent protagonist, because that was It was a very big request. It was one of the biggest requests that they had. A lot of people were unhappy with the voice protagonists in Fallout 4. I thought they were great. I thought they were fine, but yeah. So yeah, apparently the main storyline was about 40 hours to finish. Just generally some general updates. I think the game is looking really good. I would encourage you, don't pre-order, because pre-ordering is always bad. Unless you're going for a collector's edition that has like limited time stuff and you're okay with that game being garbage. That's the only time I think you should pre-order.
Right.
But past that, yeah, I look at this stuff and I look at the news coming out and I go, this is looking really good. I'm seeing a lot of positivity here. I'm hopeful that we're going to see something good here. I'm hopeful that they've improved a lot. One of the things that they improved is that you can take traits. Traits have positive effects and negative effects. If you're tired of dealing with the negative effects, there's a way to get rid of that trait, so you don't have to deal with that anymore.
Oh, good.
Stuff like that. That's very like gamer friendly. I lock in my traits. I know, like, grew up playing Fallout 2. I love the negative traits of Fallout 1 and Fallout 2, where it's like you're scrawny. You have a cap on this, but you can do more of that. I love that kind of stuff in RPGs. It really makes you feel like you're playing your character. I want hundreds of traits that have hundreds of different positive and negatives, and then I want to go through that. I want to pick them out, kind of like, take a choice, custom create something. I love doing that for my RPGs. I even love doing that for my 4X games. I love games that allow you to like custom build your race. Stellaris is a great example where you go in and you make a race of aliens that are, very smart, but they're not very, they don't reproduce fast. They live long. They're really smart, but they're suffer from impotency problems. It's like, that's cool. To make that is cool.
Right.
That kind of stuff is cool to have in a game that adds that flexibility, that adds that depth of like, that's a race that does that. There's a flying group of races that do this. That kind of stuff is cool. We're getting that return to that more heavy RPG elements. We're getting a lot of those heavier RPG elements returning in this game from games like this Skyrim that have been removed out since Oblivion, since Morrowind. They really kind of like dumbed those games down in the terms of like how deep your character creation was, how deep your character sheet was. Basically, back in Morrowind, it was like you had so many skills that were all over the place, and then they just like made it a single window in Skyrim. So really looks good. I'm very hopeful for Skyrim. Skyrim. Really hopeful for Starfield, and I really don't want to get spaced anymore.
Right. Yes. Even if, God forbid, knock on wood, this doesn't happen, if the game isn't good, remember, it is a Bethesda RPG. They are going to make the modding tools available to us, and then over time, people will be able to fine-tune the game to make it what they want, and there's never been, arguably, a better canvas to do that than what we're getting with Starfield. 1,000 planets? Come on. So, yep, I'm still very excited for the game. Hopefully they'll iron out some of the fidelity stuff, the drops in frames like we saw with that original trailer. Still very excited. All right. Side, what the hell is Neon Prime?
Neon Prime, I talked with some people. All right. I went to an alley. I met with somebody who had some juicy information on this.
Was the guy's name Gabe?
Really, no, his name was not Gabe.
Oh, shit.
This is really exciting stuff. I don't know if I should mention it here, but you know what? I'm going to try. So the guy was like, yo, man, it's the aliens. It's the aliens, and they got the powder stuff. You put it, we call it neon. And it goes into your brain, and you see the stars and the space, and you could time travel and talk to King Arthur. That's when I realized that I shouldn't be going behind library buildings and talking to random people back there. Other than that, we don't actually have any clue what this is at all, aside from the fact that it's actually a game, which didn't come from the guy behind the alley. So, yeah.
Oh, okay. And
I hope I didn't take that bit too far, but seriously, nobody knows what this is. This has been, we know it's a game.
It's coming from Valve.
Valve is making a video game. Oh, wow. Is it going to be a big game? Is it going to be a deep game? Is it going to be something equivalent to AAA? Or is it going to be something smaller that's more designed for maybe their new handheld device? Is it something that's, has a deep lore and history and tech to it? Or is it just something light that they thought would be fun and decided to, hey, let's try something cool?
Most importantly, though, does it have something to do with a guy in an orange suit with a crowbar?
Maybe. I doubt it.
Yeah,
no,
me too.
I truly doubt it. No, the Steam and Valve, Valve works on games that allows them to push certain technological things because that's what's interesting. They don't want to do another Half-Life game right now because that Half-Life game is not going to evolve anything that they can really think about in the structure of games at the moment. They either don't have the tech or they don't have something. They of course they could have done something with ray tracing, but that's just a visual thing. It's not even like it is a cool visual thing. Don't get me wrong. Ray tracing is beautiful and it's amazing and all that kind of stuff, but it's not next gen technology. What's next gen technology would be like playing an RPG MMO with your buddies, and every day there's a new dungeon with new enemies, with new scenarios, and every day there's new quests that are not the same as the old quests. You can't go and collect, 10 gold from Mr. Smith who wants you to go and take out a pig. It's like you can't do that anymore because that's what people did yesterday. Mr. Smith doesn't need that pig killed. The pig is gone. Custom creative things like that.
Right.
That an AI can create on the fly, create voice files, create an experience. You can't just Google, hey, how do I complete this quest? That quest, you're the only person with that quest. You can share it with your friends and your buddies and you can go out and you can do it, but you're the only person with that quest. That's the kind of next gen technology that they're looking for to do things. And a lot of that stuff just isn't available right now.
Yeah.
There's been people working on stuff like that, but they work when they make games, they want to create something groundbreaking new. What was their last big game that they put out?
Alex.
The Half-Life Alyx, which was in the Half-Life universe, but utilized VR in an absolutely amazing way. And that was one of the first games that kind of pushed that technology to the point where I'm like, okay, I can see where this is going. It's not there yet. Not completely. It's getting close. There's some really cool stuff you can do with VR. Definitely very healthy for you if you get some of the activity games.
Mm.
But just overall, like, where are we going? What are we seeing? What are we going to do? Like, we don't know yet, and we'll see what this comes out with, and I hope it's good.
We have good reason to believe it will be. Like, even though Valve is quite maddening when it comes to the way they deal with their PR, like people asking reasonable questions about the state of some of their beloved franchises, when they do come out with something, it's groundbreaking. Like, I have been able to try the Steam Deck. That thing is a miracle worker. Like, the fact that you can play all these emulators on it, save for the Nintendo Switch, which you can play, but it sucks on there, like 15 frames per second. Don't come after me, Nintendo. Plus, all your games on your Steam Deck, provided you don't mind playing them at 720p, it's fantastic. Then Half-Life Alyx, arguably the greatest VR game ever made. So when Valve puts out something, it's usually state-of-the-art. Just the fact that we know that they're working on a new game, and it's a game, just makes me hella excited. I just would be more excited if it had something to do with Half-Life. But, if Tyler McVicker is to be believed, there is stuff coming from that universe soon. So, and then finally, let's end off on, I don't know what the heck this is. What is it about Pong in like micro, what was this you sent me, Syb? Lab-grown brain cells play video game Pong? What?
So a scientist took brain cells, managed to create more of them in a dish, basically hooked it up to a computer, and they learned how to play Pong. Not well. They were not good at it, but they learned how to play Pong. This is huge for a number of reasons. One, biotech-based computers are they've always been a potential thing. There was some Star Trek episodes a long time ago that talked about the possibility of them. But this is now like this is the first big major jump in that technology. Like this is huge. This is really important technology. This is
Yeah.
very scary technology, but this is very good technology. It's also really good for people who suffer brain damage. If they can make brain cells and grow additional brain cells that can learn to do things that it didn't know how to do before, if you have a patient who's lost a significant number of brain cells and has had a lot of damage to certain areas and can't remember things, can't do particular things, isn't capable of just walking or stuff like that, this technology is a peep into a keyhole of what could be when dealing with that kind of stuff. And it's also just brain cells that learn how to play Pong. Like, oh my goodness, like amazing. So this is huge stuff. I do want to just point people towards. So Ash has a channel, AI Plays, and he's been working on stuff like this. He just put out a video talking about this subject. So we'll get it linked in the chat below, just so you guys can check that out. It's a side project channel that he's been working on a little bit. Check it out. Sub if you like, if you like content that he's doing over there. But this is something that we keep our eye very close on technology like this, because this stuff is huge. Because not only is it huge, but it, depending on like how it's set up, the technology can move so fast. It's like right now it's like AI made art. AI made art was a thing that popped up in my feed at the beginning of last year, or sorry, the beginning of this year, as a thing that was starting to like, be actually interesting. It was actually coming out with stuff that was actually like good and was interesting. And I said, wow, that's amazing. Within a few months, there were apps that could do it. Within a month after that, there was apps that were on messaging systems and phone apps that you could just plug and start doing stuff with. A month after that, there was animation for generated images, and like it's moving wicked fast. It's moving so fast that it's hard to watch the progress on it, because every day there's a major jump, and that is very, very fascinating. I'm very excited to see this kind of stuff moving into the future. I'm really, really excited. I want to see this more. I want to see this kind of tech more, because I think that overall, this is the direction of cool stuff that is going to change this world. And if enough people are involved with it, that are watching it or are paying attention to it, that are not evil megalomaniacs, it's potentially one of the best things that can happen to humanity. So something very, very cool, very, very interesting. Check that out. And then we do have another story. We have an additional story that I'm going to just briefly talk about.
Yes. Yeah.
So Rooster Teeth is on fire right now, for the most part.
Why?
So there was a one of their members, one of their people that were working at the company a few years ago, was treated absolutely horribly. Now, they are not the only person that has come out and talked about how horrible they have been treated, but there's been a lot of stuff that's happened. There's been a lot of people that were fired and dismissed that turns out they had some pretty substantial complaints against the company. Some of their complaints do come off as kind of childish for the most part. Sometimes that does not denigrate the real complaints, the real problems, the big issues. Some people look at this and they go, famous people complaining about each other. Oh no, that kind of stuff. And I get it. I get it that sometimes people look at people who are visually in a position that's much more grandiose than they have, so therefore they look at that and they say, what are they complaining about? But this story actually, like, wasn't going to talk about it until I saw one post from the person who brought this complaint forward, where basically they were treated really, really badly, weren't paid well, and had some other issues. And one of the things that I came out and that just really pushed me over the line today was something that was said in one of the posts. I'm trying to pull it up here. I'm just gonna go over here. So yeah, I saw this, and so this is what happened. A few years ago, we talked about this before. We didn't name the source of people that we went to, but we contacted Rooster Teeth back a few years ago about a piece with some insider information on a story that was really, really big, that had a lot of potential to cause damage and harm a lot of people. And we brought that information to Rooster Teeth. Again, we've talked about this before, but we didn't name the company. And we got hit back with a, hi, yeah, no, there's just not enough controversy here right now. But we can see that if we wait and this gets worse, then it'll be a huge news story.
Yeah, that's... Why do people do that, man?
That is filthy in a level that is absolutely disgusting. And a lot of people did get hurt. A lot of people, there was a lot of stuff and there were a lot of problems. And we've sent the information out to other places and things. But just so you know that part of it is true from my perspective. When this person said, they came out and they said, yeah, I was treated terribly, and I was told that, there was not enough controversy, because controversy is good. It gets clicks, it brings in the clicks, and we like the clicks. I can't attest to whether or not all the other points that this person brought up was true or not. I can't say one way or another on that. I don't know about that, but I do know about this. I do know about the issues that people face, the difficulty, and the problems of untruth, and how many problems of untruth cause these kinds of issues. I get that, I know that, and I can attest that that is particularly true in this case. I also pointed out that there was another member of the studio that at some point had come out with some complaints, and nobody listened to them because, I don't know, maybe it's because it was a dude. I don't know, like, why people chose to ignore that guy when he said basically the exact same stuff as this person did. But now this person, now there's a torrent of, thousands and thousands of people who are really upset about this. I'm not casting doubt on this person's stuff. They're their own story, and I'm hope that there's going to be some investigations into things to clear this up. Right now, Rooster Teeth has put out a statement that basically says, yeah, we really screwed up, and we really caused some problems in the past, and we're really sorry about that. So take that where you will, right?
Right.
So it's a big thing. It really sucks. Rooster Teeth is one of those things that I loved a lot growing up. I was one of the initial people that saw their shorts that they were doing back when you had to download the videos in a old video player format and play it. I remember the initial buzz of info when it got sent over to the Microsoft studios and started getting circulated around there a lot, and ended up like exploding and made them huge. I followed them for a very long time, but a lot of the original founders have left. A lot of the people who, were running stuff has just come out that they have a lot of serious problems over there. The product isn't just as good anymore. I think Warner Brothers screwed them over royally by transforming them into this weird thing that didn't know its roots anymore, but at the same time tried to blame its roots for all of its current problems that just keep still showing up. And there's people all over the place that are involved in that who are now suffering, cancellation. And I don't think anybody should be canceled. I think things should be brought out into the public, discussed, talk about, and then I think, people should attempt to make restitution. We should just burn people at the stakes. Like, that seems dumb to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm just old fashioned, but I don't think people should be burnt at the stake. I think people can create a form of restitution that makes things better, and we can discuss things and talk about things. But there's not any of that. You typically see just people blowing up at each other and trying to like destroy each other, and I don't think that's healthy.
Right.
But yeah, that's what's been going on over at Rooster Teeth. Pretty crazy, but I did want to come out and state that because I did state it on the Twitter verse today, that it was Rooster Teeth. We approached Rooster Teeth with reliable inside information, collaborated from people with witnesses. And they looked at that and said, you know what would be better is if this story got a lot worse. This is equivalent to a news agency showing up at a building going, oh, hey, look, there's a fire here. But, oh, hey, the fire department hasn't been called yet. Oh, wow. Do you realize that if the fire takes over the whole building and people start to have to be forced to jump out of windows, this will make such a better story. It was basically that. And it's disgusting. And now it's been collaborated by more people from within the studio saying, yeah, they had some serious problems. And those people, the people like that, I don't think any of them are there anymore, but they're to blame for this kind of stuff. Congratulations. Thanks for ruining something that we loved.
Yeah. This is unfortunately what happens nowadays when clicks are all that counts. We've seen websites, journalists, quote unquote journalistic outlets like Kotaku, wait for stuff like this to happen so that they have something big to click on and to drive outrage. Yeah, it's completely, looking over the fact that, by acting sooner, it would prevent the lives of more people being ruined. But that's unfortunately not the world we live in. But thankfully, we do live in a world that where Silent Hill lives again. Hopefully, it'll be a good whatever. If the rumors are true, they're working on 3+ games. That at least one of those games will end up being half decent, like I said, and I'm hoping for that. Saib, do you want to, before we go, just first we'll announce that on my main channel, we're going to be reviewing whatever happens on Wednesday with this new Silent Hill info. Doing a live stream about it. I'll put a link to my channel in case you guys are interested in joining us for that live stream. And as for the other main channel side, do you want to tell people about that very quickly before we sign out?
Yeah, check out the Triple S League. We are so close to 40,000 subscribers, and we really, honestly, really appreciate everybody who follows us, who talks, puts posts in the comments below, engages with us, joins our Discord, joins our Guilded, joins any of the communities that we run for various things. Like I said, check out Ash's new channel, AI Plays. We'll have that link in the description today as well. And check out his video that he did. He went deep into this new brain cells being used to learn how to play Pong. And there's there's a ton of info there that he goes through. So check that out. And again, thank you so much for listening and watching and dropping by every week. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And that'll do it for us, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching this episode of the Maximum News Show. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure to comment, subscribe. All that stuff really helps us out. Not only this video, but all the other videos on this channel. And please get us over that. This is the Triple S podcast. Well, subscribe to this channel and subscribe to the Triple S League, obviously, so you can stay up to date with all the cool stuff with honest reporting, moral reporting. Can't get enough of that in this day and age. Thanks, guys. Until we do this again next week, I want to remind you, as always and as per usual, stay yellow.